What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. I am your host, Gil KV Jr. Not going to do any sponsorship reads tonight because it's a special episode and it is with one of the sponsors. Let me know if you guys actually heard the audio going with that video. I don't know why that's not playing for some reason, but anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and do the pledge and get right into this. I am so excited and so happy to be partnered with Bluon. It's amazing what they're doing over there, what they're doing for the community. And like I tell each and every one of you, this app is free. It is 100% free. It is an asset to have on that little thing in your pocket. Stop playing on Facebook. Stop doing Instagram unless you're following me. That's cool. Then put it away. But download the Bluon app. Guys, this is a resource to have in your pocket that costs you nothing. I cannot emphasize that enough. All right. So let's play this pledge and let's rock and roll. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Five, four, three, two, one, go.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil KV Jr.
What is up, everybody? Like I said, welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. I'm your host, Gil KV Jr. Here on a Tuesday night. Just so you guys know, there is no show tomorrow night, one tonight, and then a special episode Friday, which I will cover later. But guys, I am super, super excited about this show. We're going to start trying to do this as kind of a regular thing, but this is the first of hopefully many. Guys, tonight, I've had Mr. Pete on, the CEO of Bluon. Tonight, we have two of their technical advisors that work for Bluon that I want you guys to meet. We're going to talk about some different things tonight. You guys are more than welcome to ask questions. At some point, I might even open the Titan text line brought to you by Yellow Jacket for people to call in and ask questions. We'll see how it goes. But without further ado, please put your hands together and let's introduce Mr. Dennis and Brian. How are you, gentlemen?
Hey, Gil. I love your intro, man. That is fantastic right there, man. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's, being a military family, bunch of us who've served, it means the world to do that and give back. And I think we get lost in this bullshit world sometimes. So, got to stay grounded. You know what I mean? So,
Yep. I appreciate you having us on here too. This is gonna be a wild show, man.
Yeah, this is awesome. I can't wait. We got a good group of people between Facebook and YouTube of people watching. So, I mean, this is definitely awesome. Like I told you guys, I'm so excited to be partnered with you guys and what you're doing because it's amazing. And anybody who doesn't have this app downloaded, it doesn't make sense. If it was $3 a month or something, people could say, oh, it costs money. I can't do $3 a month, which is crazy, but there's no reason not to do it because it's 100% free. So we'll get into some of all those aspects. I guess if we want to take turns, we'll start in the middle. Dennis, if you want to start and introduce yourself to the crowd and let them know, we'll work our way out on my side.
I gotcha. So I've been with Bluon not quite 2 years, and I started over 30 years ago in the trade, and I've worked mostly commercial, industrial. Went to work. I served my apprenticeship in Orlando, Florida, and then moved up to Georgia, where I went to work for Johnson Controls, and then went over to York International. And then, of course, Johnson bought York, and that's kind of where I was at until I went on my own and ran my own business for 7 or 8 years. And then my body was kind of telling me, hey, we're not going to keep doing this. So the opportunity came up to go with Bluon and to do tech support. And, now, like Brian was talking about, they have like 2 weeks worth of training and interviews. And I slid in underneath that. So, before they set standards. And so actually I was able to do tech support. And it's been one of the best moves I've ever made. I mean, basically my job is every day to get up and help people. And, that's, like you said, sometimes we can get caught up in the BS in this world. But at the end of the day, that's pretty much my job, is to get up and help people every day. We have enormous resources. The guys on our team are phenomenal. They're phenomenal. As Brian will say, he says we're the best 1% of 1%. And like I said, I got in under the wire before they start all that, but I get to be a part of this. And when you get a kid who thanks you over and over again, in fact, the other night, I was kind of getting done. And as you can see, I'm in my living room, and my girlfriend came in, and I was hanging up with this guy, and he was thanking me over and over again. And I hung up, flipped there, and turned around in the chair, and she said, I think I'm going to cry. I said, well, I said, I get that 2 or 3 times a day and several times a week. And that's motivation. And really, you've talked to Pete a lot. So, that's what pushes us, is gratification and the appreciation. As he says, our whole company pretty much runs off of gratitude. And Pete is a phenomenal individual. And it's every day I just get to get up and help people. How awesome. I mean, it's been one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life. Didn't think places like this existed. And I don't think they exist anywhere else, quite honestly. I am stoked. As I tell people, I bleed blue. I am thankful to be here. So blessed.
That's amazing that you say that, because we have people that say that here. We're at Beltway, our company, which is, that's what you want to hear. So it's awesome to hear you say that. And Mr. Pete is awesome. And it's so funny when I talk to a CEO of a company and I say fuck, and he just says it back. And I'm like, this is my kind of guy.
Ryan's going to tell you that's a technical term here.
You refer to that as technical terms. That's right.
That is so funny. And before I go to you, Brian, just on what you said, Dennis, it's awesome what you say about helping people, because I think resources like this in today's day and age, and what you guys do is, I think, tech school is being kind of taken out and not emphasized as much. So without going on a long horn here, going around, is a lot of guys are going out not properly trained, and they go out there, they get stuck, and they feel afraid, like they have no help, they have no resources. And the best thing is they can call you guys, they can get help, they get the problem fixed, and nobody even has to know. Their boss just knows they're getting the problem fixed, but they know they're not alone. They have that resource in their pocket. They're not alone in any situation they're in. And I think that's amazing. And that's why I feel like so many people should take advantage of it. We all need help.
Yeah. To make your point, Gil, we get calls all the time, and they just quite honestly tell me, I'm afraid to call my boss. I don't want him to know. And so we get that a lot. The other thing is the forum. One of the things I push about the forum is we don't put up with any BS of some guy ask a question that maybe, something us three may, just elementary, may I say it that way. And then I see on other forums and on different platforms where they just get lambasted, and it's just ridiculous. And quite honestly, it ticks me off, because sometimes I want to say, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but you can't tote my toolbox. Why are you lambasting this young kid? And it really frustrates me. So one of the things is about our forum is that, they can ask any question they want to, in addition to calling us 24/7. We're available, ready at any time to answer the questions. And it's awesome. And to make your point about being put out in the field, not properly trained, man, I just can't tell you how many times we get that. And so I'm a lot older. I've been around the block a time or 6, and I teach safety a lot. I constantly talk to these kids about safety, because if they're not trained, they probably haven't been shown. And our trade, as you guys know, can be, especially in the industrial, commercial, 460 and so forth, can be very dangerous. So we spend a lot of time. I get to a lot of time tell kids, kids, I'm old. I get to tell a lot of guys, be careful. And I get to, and they thank me profusely a lot of times, because they were not unaware of the dangers that they could be in. And I just think that, what a tremendous opportunity. I mean, this is a dream job for me, to be able to teach and to share, and then be able to warn them, and sometimes I say to the guys, listen, the most important thing today is not that unit gets back online. The most important thing is that you go home with all your stuff safe to your family. That's the most important thing. And, I don't want to ramble on, but I had a guy a couple of months ago, and condensate switch in a unit. And he's saying, well, I can't. I was like, dude, you got to go in there. You got to go in there. Then he shares with me, he's 2 stories up over a sales platform. He's like, well, I can put a tube of 12 and go out there. I said, time out. No, hell, you don't ever do that. Never. So anyway, I talked to him, come to find out, he's like 62 years old. I was like, dude, I'm 57 and I'm fat, but I don't bounce. And so don't go out there and get yourself hurt. So anyway, again, the opportunity is to give them a fresh perspective, be able to teach, talk about safety. And like you say, when kids are put out there and they've not really been trained, man, what a tremendous opportunity. And I just get up every day looking forward to going to work. We watch, after a while, we watch the board to make sure, if the guys are getting slammed, we'll jump back on, because it's just a tremendous opportunity. Like I said, a dream job, man. And Mr. Pete actually pays me. I mean, it's amazing. So you can't ask for better. No. I am blessed way beyond anything I deserve working here at Bluon. So I'll shut up now. Go ahead, Brian.
That's awesome. Yeah, Brian, let's hear your story. Yeah.
I'm Brian Johnson. I'm the director of the tech community here at Bluon. Been here full time now for 4 years. I have been with Bluon since they thought about being Bluon back in 2011. So I've been here a minute. I've been in the trade a total of 42 years. So I haven't seen much other than everything that they made before yesterday.
I'm not even 42 years old, for Christ's sakes.
So when Dennis thought about getting in the air conditioning trade, I was rebuilding air conditioners. So it's just been so much fun. The trade has treated me really well. Bluon and what they're creating and what we are creating, because it's I have to correct Dennis there. Bluon pays you, buddy. But it is so much fun being able to, like Dennis put it, it's like we help guys every day. We get call after call after call going, really? You guys, I could have called you on Saturday. Yeah, you could have called us on Saturday. You can call us on Christmas. You can call us on the 4th of July. You can call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Somebody will answer the phone. And, like our commercial says, 2 minutes or less, typical. We have our training process here is not just hiring a guy off the street and putting him on the phone. We don't have a phone bank. As you can see, Dennis is very comfortable in his recliner there. And it's, we got guys all over the United States. So I have the ability to play with people's schedules and be able to cover tech support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we alluded to it a little bit ago. The training process, once a person comes in, they don't go sit in a cube farm. That's not where we're at. It is, you are in our Irvine office and you're learning the ropes. You're learning the processes. We run with 5 different programs that we work with, so that a person calls in, the phone rings, and to work with all those nuances and understand them. These guys coming out of the field, I think our youngest guy's got 20 years, Gil, and that's saying something. So we cover from refrigeration to chillers, man. And yes, drinking fountains are chillers.
So how many people are in your guys' team now? So how many like technical advisors, like tech support guys are there now?
35 of us. Yeah. Funny enough, guys from OEMs have contacted us and said, how do you do it? How do you have such a following and such a huge tech support? And it's bottom line is Dennis and I are only 2 of 35, and we all want to give back to the trade. We all want to be that teacher. We are sitting here because the trade schools are cranking out people that when they're done with the trade school, yes, they may know the 4 basic components of a refrigeration system, but they don't know all that they need to know. And the days of an apprentice sitting with a journeyman for a year or two, those are done. They sit with a journeyman for 5 minutes while they're filling out their paperwork for employment, getting their clipboard and their pocket of tools, and now they're in a truck and they're on their own. Dennis said it straight up, and we've preached it a lot here, is guys don't want to call their boss. Guys want to call their friend and get help. And when they call Bluon, they're calling their friend. We've got quite a rapport with everybody. I take great pride in the fact that I've had 4 guys that used to call multiple times a week to now I hear from them once a month because they want to know what we're doing for Thanksgiving and how's the family doing. Those are now friends, and they're all over the place. I mean, I've been able to go across the country and do a training, and it's like I call the fellow up on the phone and say, "Hey, I'm over in this town. How far away are you?" And he's going, "Man, I am like 5 minutes from you." And then go and face to face with somebody I've been talking to for 6 months on the phone, and just give them a hug and what can I do to help you right now? And we don't get to do that every day, but it sure is. It sure is a blast when it happens.
That's amazing to do that. I mean, I know that even like from podcasting and the friends that I've made, like other podcasters, influencers, whatever the hell you want to call them. A lot of the events I go to, it's not even really about the event. It's the relationships, being able to meet those people and hang out with them. And they're some of my best friends. I'm like, maybe they like me because they don't see the asshole side of me yet, because they don't see me all the time. But but yeah, it's you talk to somebody on the phone enough, and it's funny how you build that relationship and being there for somebody. So that is awesome. You guys do that. And the problem with OEM, with like your guys' video, if you guys have not seen their video, you have to watch it. You will piss yourself, I promise you. But it's the truth is, okay, it's great. Say your company is a carrier dealer and you have great carrier tech support. That's awesome. But that's not all you work on. If you're a train dealer, that's not all that you work on. What happens when you get stuck on a Lennox, a Goodman, whatever? And you try to call, if you're not a factory authorized dealer, they pretty much tell you to go shit in your hat. And I mean, I've had it happen to me, and that's what happens. And being able to have a resource for those other brands is priceless. Like, you can't put a price on that. So it's amazing that you guys do that.
8. Well, right now there is no Z unit. So right now we're Aon to York.
That's
the other thing.
Go ahead, Dennis.
We have a lot of guys that are specialized. I worked for York International, and so there are cool chillers I'm pretty familiar with. I can deal with. Got a guy that worked for Train, got a guy that worked for Lennox. So the other thing that happens is that you get not just one of us and perhaps my experience, but I can in the background we have texts going back and forth constantly. And today I had a couple of guys that said, "Hey, can you help a guy with an Aon? Can you help a guy with this, that?" And so I was able to jump on and call them back. And a lot of times I've had to call a couple of guys and say, "Hey, not as familiar with this unit as you are, but can you?" And so bring them in when we get into real deep issues. So my point is that not only do you get just one of us, you pretty much get all of us. And if we have to, we go to Dad, Brian. We go to Dad and ask him. And then, and I've yet to see him stumped, by the way. He's pretty awesome. And then you were talking about the relationships. It was so awesome out in ACR in Vegas. We were out there at that show, and you wouldn't believe the people, Gil.
I was there. I didn't know you guys were there.
Brian? Where's Brian? Where's Brian? Which one's Brian? Brian had a fan club going over there, man. It was pretty awesome, but just cool to watch. Like you said, it is so awesome. And to make the relationships. Had a guy call me back today just to tell me, what it was. And I had pointed him in the right direction. And the camaraderie that you get there, the relationships that you build again, that's what it's really all about. And that's really, say, I get to get up and help people every day. It's phenomenal. So.
That's awesome. I was in Vegas. I didn't know. I was at the podcast pavilion because I podcast live from AHR. I've done it the last couple of years. So I'll be in Atlanta this year. I'll make sure that we get up to see each other. So that stinks.
Well,
but
I wish you the best of luck getting to our booth, man, because it is 15,000 deep just to get in and shake my hand.
Hey, that's fine. I'll push people. Like, get out of the way. I know people, damn it. I got a cup. You don't move.
And here I thought you were only interested in the beer coupon that I had in my back pocket, Gil.
That's funny. So you guys will be in Atlanta then, right?
Yes, sir. We will be there.
Awesome.
And I'll
Awesome.
make sure Dennis has bells on.
Yes, please. Because I will. I'll be lit up like the 4th of July.
No, it's so much fun. This is what we get to do. We get to talk to guys. And one of the things that the guys got to go through in the training process is understanding when you get a guy on the phone and he is super frustrated, man, he is at his wit's end. It's like, we got to bring those guys down. We're their friend, and talking them down so that they don't jump off that damn roof. That's pretty important. And then get them to refocus and find the problem with the unit. They're all great days. Working here, we don't have bad days. It's our numbers. We're doing over 500 calls a day, Gil.
That's funny. I was going to ask you how many calls in 500 calls. That's crazy.
And it's every one of them's a winner, man.
So, and you guys are all over the United States. So some people just work from home. Like it's not everybody just like in California. Like you go there and train, but this, for example, like if I work for Bluon, I could be here. You know what I mean? Like doing tech support or no?
Absolutely. Yep.
I need an application.
Sorry, go ahead.
I need an application. I'm just kidding.
So I can't afford you. You said something about being a coup. So yes, I'm in California and I am in the office today because I didn't have time to make it home for this show. But I work from home. I'm 47 miles from the office, and I work from home 4 days a week, and I work in the office 3 days a week. I think I did the math right. That's 7 days a week.
He does 7 days a week.
But no, really, like Dennis is someplace in Georgia, hence the accent. And we've got guys up by you, Gil. We've got guys in Florida, Texas, Alabama, Colorado, Idaho. I'm missing one, Iowa. We got guys. We are scattered. It is so much easier to cover a week when you've got scattered. And then, 3 o'clock in the morning for me is 6 o'clock in the morning for y'all. So, I schedule a guy at 2 o'clock in the morning. Damn, he's got to get up and get on the phone at 5. Bummer. I get to sleep that extra 3 hours because I was the guy. It wasn't that long ago. It was not that long ago that I was the guy getting up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I tell these guys, just give me a second. I got to turn the coffee pot on. I'm willing to help, but I don't have to put my boots on and go fire up a van and drive to a job site. So I'm definitely here for you. Just let me get a cup of coffee and a couple of sips of that. I can get my other eye open, and I'll be more than happy to help you.
And that's awesome that you guys are in different areas, because sometimes you have issues that are, particular to a certain region of the country, where maybe line sets are underground, or they only see flex duct, or they only see metal duct, or like the Northeast, like up here in Baltimore, we have, the way they do things up here, it's different than down south. I mean, so you can know all the theory, but some of those different situations, having somebody that knows that, Go ahead.
Don't get me started on geothermal.
Yeah.
I'm a water source heat pump guy all day long, but you get me on geothermal, man. It's like, you put that where?
Yeah. I mean, I've worked on them, and I mean, obviously, I know how they work. I mean, it's just a glorified heat pump, but I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of those. I just don't see, at least around here, as far as what they cost. I just feel like there's other avenues you could do that. I don't know. I wouldn't push a customer in that direction, but one again, that's my opinion, and normally I'm wrong. So
I'm going to tell you how I look at HVAC after, well, probably 35 years. Yeah, closer to 30. At any rate, I had a manager ask me one time, he working on a train centrifugal, and I went in and gave him the list of things that I thought was not correct. And he looked at me and he says, how many of those have you had apart? I went, this is the first one. And it just floored him that I would tell him true, that I've never had one apart. This is the first one. And so when he said that, it's like, I'm a mechanic in this trade. It's got all the components of every other machine. Maybe I'm oversimplifying things, but I joke about geothermal, but as long as it's got the 4 basic components, I could probably walk through it. And this trade's never kicked me in the butt after I got past 10 years. I mean, it kicked me in the butt a lot before that. But the first they didn't call them IntelliPacks back then, but first IntelliPack that I saw, my journeyman opened up the panels and said, I'm going to go get us a burger. When I get back, you have this figured out. And when he got back, I was still counting relays. And, never made that mistake again. But, we live, we learn. But that was back in the day when you did have a journeyman. I rode with a journeyman for 3 years before I got my apprenticeship and a set of keys and a van and a compressor and a torch and an address. Go get it, and have not turned around. So
that's awesome. I was dumbfounded when I found out, and I didn't really know that until I started doing the podcast and talked to people from all over the country, is that there's more states that don't require licensing than do.
True.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Very, very true.
I mean, like Pennsylvania, I have a brother-in-law who is the biggest jack off you'll ever meet in your life. And he's up there selling people air conditioning. And I'm like, I feel like I should start a business just warning his potential customers, because it's just crazy that's out there. But so I guess, like we were joking before, like, you guys get a lot of questions, and I know we're joking and saying like, oh, like they're kind of dumb questions and stuff like that. But you guys, and there's no such thing as a dumb question. So but you get a lot of questions. Like, some of them aren't as hard as you, like, everybody thinks tech support's that, like, that great white hope. Like, it's the hard. Sometimes it's just kind of basic things that people just need that aha moment that they're just not seeing. So sometimes it's not even like crazy stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, we get anything from where do I put the red wire to how do I verify that this condenser fan motor don't work, and then we get Dennis gets all the complicated ones because I'm getting old.
You wouldn't believe how many times a week, Gil, we explain that, to see, you get calls all the time where a guy says, I got voltage everywhere. What do you mean? Well, between R and Y and R to G and R to, I'm like, yeah, you're going to have voltage there. Now go from common to Y to see if we've got, and they really don't understand that. And so, and occasionally you may have a guy that doesn't care for that, but most of the time they're like, wow, and so you get to tell them and talk to them about that. And so it's pretty awesome to kind of enlighten them and get to train them and teach them. And, once you open up that key, once they realize how to check a normally open, normally closed contact, how to go across there and see potential voltage, I mean, it's just like, boom, and they're so thankful. Again, like, man, wow.
But I say we get 500 calls a day. They're not all remedial questions.
No,
and
not by long.
we're here to help everybody. We've got guys that are working on, how do you pronounce that? Reliatel.
Lyatel. I had one today. Yep.
And so, I mean, you get into some pretty complicated stuff. One of the guys that is here working for Bluon was actually one of the design builders for multi-stack chiller. And we're very happy to have him on board. He's one smart cookie. VFDs, electrical issues, chillers. So it's and he'll tell you he can stumble through a 5-ton unit, but that wasn't his background. His background was the larger equipment from the day he started cutting teeth. So, Dennis's experience is with York equipment. My experience was as the golfer. I rebuilt a lot of compressors for buildup systems because that's what my journeyman worked on. And then when they gave me residential light commercial, I still had to go help with rebuilding compressors. And then, I graduated on up through the different pieces of equipment. And when I retired out 4 years ago, I was working on centrifugals and screw machines and industrial stuff. So it's like I say, the trade's been great to me. I've been able to expand all the way through, and now being here and working with such a diverse group that all basically thinks alike. We all want to give back to the community. We are selfless. I would rather do something for somebody than have somebody do something for me. And to be able to, I was a superintendent of a service company, and we had anywhere from it would ebb and flow, right? It's what the trade does. So I would go from 20 to 40 guys at any given time, and when you get into having 20, 40 service techs all from the same region, I guess it's you get the personality conflicts. And Gil, you would not believe that 35 technicians that we have answering the phone and helping these guys out, I could bring them all out here tomorrow and not one crossword would be said amongst any of them.
Well,
it is
good.
just
no penis measuring contest like Facebook.
No, none of that, man. So it is a true blessing to be able to come to work. Everybody's heard the old adage, if you enjoy what you're doing, you never work a day in your life. I worked really hard for 37 years and I have enjoyed the rest of them, man. This has just been an absolute freaking thrill ride.
Well, and to you guys, I'll let you go, Dennis. I saw you were going to say something. That speaks to your leaders. So that speaks to Mr. Pete, and that speaks to you, Brian, of the culture that you guys have created, that people come to work, they can be themselves. They love coming to work every day. And people don't realize that, that's what we've tried to do. Obviously, we're trying to keep doing it, but we have an awesome team. People love coming to work, and you can see it with you guys. And I knew that before you said it, just by everybody that I've talked to, you can tell that what they're doing, it's not fake. They're not faking the funk, that it's real. It's a real smile. They're really having fun. Yeah. They really enjoy what they're doing. And it's a good look. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think of another word to say it, like another way to explain it, but it's awesome to see that, when somebody cares about their job and really loves what they're doing, because it's right. It's not like work when people do that. When somebody calls you, and even if they're giving you information, but I call tech support and it's like, hey, what's going on? Oh, just turn the fucking switch back on. All right, thanks, bye. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe if it is a remedial question, that they don't feel that way, because you know what? That guy who calls in about, it's the red wire, I give him nothing but fucking credit for calling, because a lot of guys wouldn't call and ask, just wire it wrong and be like, it's not my house. You know what I mean? Yeah. So at least they give a shit about it. So That's awesome. So definitely kudos. And that's why I said I love being associated and partnered with you guys, because it's what you guys do. And not only what you guys do, what you stand for. I think that our beliefs are in the same place. So
Absolutely.
Thanks,
You know,
man.
one of the things I was going to say, and Brian is an enormous part of creating the culture here in tech support. He's kind of like, you know, big pop over of tech support. And, you know, uh, I really don't know exactly how they do it, Gil, but when they hire, they seem to seek out. I mean, Peter's an extremely intelligent man, but one of the keys I think that they've worked on here is hiring the right people. So I'll give an example. About every 6 weeks or so, they take us out to Irvine, and it's just freaking awesome to absorb the energy and everything that's going on out there. But we were sitting with one of the new guys, Dan. And so, you know, you're always just, you know, you're kind of waiting around and letting them talk. Didn't take long to figure Dan out. Didn't take long to figure out why he's here. Well, one, he volunteers as a firefighter in his local community, which is way out in the country. And then number two, we're just talking about things, experiences back in the trade. And he talked about how that, you know, you go out on this call and you can tell these people, you know, they can't afford it, heat's out or whatever. And he went on about how awesome it was to be able to just do it, take care of it, and just say, zero charge, don't worry about it, and just walk on. That, to me, speaks volume. And then, you know, it clicked in my mind, and I was looking for it. It just clicked. That's the reason Dan's here. And he has turned out to be a fantastic addition to our team. And that's just the kind of, the culture here is real. A lot of corporations talk about culture. The culture here is real. And I'd be honest with you, when I started, you know, I kept waiting on the other shoe to drop. I've been here a while. There is no other shoe. This is real. This is the way it is. This is what we do. This is what drives us. And, you know, I don't feel like I got anything to prove, like Brian was talking about, like you were talking about the measuring contest. I don't have anything to prove here. If I don't know it, I just say I don't know it. I'll either call Mike, the guy he was talking to, or I'll call Brian or Mark or some other guy that may know it better than I am. And, you know, and a lot of times, like you're talking about, sometimes we've all been there. If you've worked very long in our trade, you're just looking at something and you're stumped. And so you just need a second set of eyes. You just need a second opinion. We get guys that have got more experience than I got called all the time. They're saying, well, you know, and I was like, hey, go through the numbers. And like you said, we don't ridicule. There is no dumb question. Thank the guy for calling. Thank for being on the app, being on board with us, as I say. And we get to just, like, say, help him. And you walk through, and he already had it. He just needed a second set of eyes. And so you get to do that. So it's phenomenal. The culture here is real. Brian is an enormous part of building that culture. Pete and Danica are awesome. And they've just done that all the way throughout the organization. And I think, like you said, you can see it because nobody's faking. We're all tickled to be here. And the other thing is I describe working at Bluon as laid back but intense. And that's the way it is, because at the end of the day, you're exhausted. But, you know, throughout the day, you don't realize that you're working, you know, and so it's pretty awesome. It's pretty, like I said, I am blessed way beyond anything I deserve to be a part of this organization, a part of this family, to get out and go and do. And you just look forward to it every day. And so Brian's my boss. When Brian calls, I'm like, oh, crap. I'm not like that. I'm like, what's going on? You know, and I'm just excited because, you know, I don't know if he's ever had to get on to me, but anyway, it's always upbeat, you know, and it's always going forward. And the other thing that comes across here, Gil, that it just kind of it shouldn't be a surprise, but it is to me. I'm a little slow. Is the caliber of people we have here. You know, it's the caliber of people we have. When we get a directive to go in a certain direction with something or a certain project or whatever it is, there's none of this browbeating and you better what, you know, like you're used to getting in other companies. It is just, they lay it out for us and we're more than happy to go forward. You know, Mike says it, I don't want to get in trouble with the boss, but Mike says it this way. Peter is not a boss so much as he is a leader. And when you work for a leader, you know, you get up every day ready to rock and roll, ready to go get it done. And that's the way he is. And so it's just awesome to be a part of this organization. Like I said, the culture here is real. From the top down, it's phenomenal. And, you know, I think I can say this openly. I don't work for Bluon. I work with Bluon. You know, and I work with Peter. Wow. for a guy that smart and for me to be able to work with him, this is pretty freaking awesome. Can I just say that? Does that come across right? Did I say that right, Brian? Anyway.
Yeah, and Peter would be the one to tell you too. He doesn't want you walking behind him; he wants you walking next to him.
Right.
And that is the way it is here. Is we are side by side, arm in arm, common goal. Which is why the app is turning into what the app is turning into. Who would have ever thought that you would be able to pick up your phone, not only find the manual, be able to find the wiring diagram, and be able to diagnose that motor's bad. And now you've got the ability to, while you got the app open, looking at the manual and looking at that diagram, that you can actually click on the motor and say, I want to purchase this motor or get a quote for this motor and send it to your local supplier. I mean, true, as easy as we can make it for the guys is the way we're making it easy for the guys. It's corny as all get out. Watch our videos. It's an app made for technicians by technicians, and it's what makes their life easier. I can go into the history as to how the app started. I don't know if you got that kind of time today.
We're good. Real fast about the app. It was funny because when I was first talking to Mr. Pete and we were talking about that stuff, and I was joking and I was like, "Oh, it'd be awesome if they could deliver it to you," and he was like, "Oh, well, we can do that too." And I was just like, "That's amazing," because I asked him, I was like, how do you make money? Like, how does Bluon, like, how do you pay people? And, he's like, that's a good question. He started laughing, but it's just because of what you get. And like, it is free for the technician. That's why I'm going to say this for the 967th time so far is I don't know why every technician does not have the Bluon app downloaded. It is only a positive thing that's going to help you. Like anybody, guys, girls watching this, you should have the Bluon app downloaded on your phone. It is a resource. I mean, it's really that simple. I mean, if one of you can put in the comments one reason, and it's legitimate, why you shouldn't have it, please, by all means, do it, because I guarantee you can't.
And Gil, you said guys and gals. Thanks for bringing up the gals. The gals are kicking the guys' ass when they call in for tech support. These gals have their temperatures, their pressures, their superheat, their subcool. They have all the information that you need to help them figure out what's going wrong with the machine. The girls are killing it.
Oh, I bet my old service manager years ago, if you called him when I was still doing commercial and you had a refrigerant issue and you gave him pressures, and he'd be like, if you didn't give him superheat and subcooling, your saturation and all that, he would hang up on you. He's like, why? I don't give a shit what your pressures are. He's like, you're giving me a math equation and trying to figure out X, but I don't know the other half of the problem. So that's crazy. Real fast, I'd love to just have your guys' opinion, because I feel like a lot of technicians are making a bigger deal of it than it really is. What do you guys say to the people out there that are, oh my God, the new refrigerants, like, it's going to be deadly. It's going to be crazy. Like, why, like they're making a big deal out of it when really it's not going to be that much different than what we're doing right now.
I'm just going to say, be careful. You are getting into a new realm. There isn't, if I can say it this way, there ain't shit you're going to be able to do about it. Whatever the government decides that they're going to lay out for us to work with in our trade is what we're going to have to work with. And, yes, 290 is dangerous. So is cooking on my barbecue, and that's our 290. So when you connect your bottle, make sure the damn thing don't leak before you light the barbecue. Otherwise, you're going to have a party. Yeah. And that's the sarcastic part of Brian, but it isn't. Right now we're not dealing with hundreds of pounds of it in the system. So they're starting out slow and introducing it that way. But it's kind of taken me back to my late 70s, early 80s. You know, you're getting back into refrigerants. R290 is ventable. You don't reclaim it. You take the machine outside, cut the process tube, and then fix your machine. And I mean, there's steps that you got to follow and things of that nature. But, you know, am I a little concerned that I'm going to have an R290 unit sitting on my roof or in my backyard? Yeah, I am, because I've been in the trade for 42 years and I know what it's like to have the pins blow out of a compressor because it shorted. So yeah, I would imagine if there's you get the black ooze of oil shooting out all over your machine because it blew the pins out, and you've got a flammable refrigerant in there, that kind of leads me to believe that I'm gonna have a flame following that oil. And so yeah, it's scary, but it's our trade, and our trade is dangerous today. It's going to get a little bit more, and you're going to have to work with the safety practices of what's coming down the pipe.
And that's the thing. People need to pay attention. And it's 290, yes, but I think like R32 when that comes, and then R454B. There's R32 and 410. Like that's one of the refrigerants that makes it up. I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. And guys can't make like, they've been using it in Europe forever. Like R290 when that comes, like yes, that makes me a little nervous. But I feel like rather than use ignorance, don't use it like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Like educate yourself, learn the different things about the refrigerant and use it that way. I feel like there can't always be an excuse like 22 to 410. Like this thing runs higher pressures. What are we going to do? I got to buy new gauges, blah, blah, blah. We figured it out. Like we always figure it out. Just be one of the guys that's on the front end, not on the ass end looking stupid because, your ignorance was bliss because you waited until the last minute. Like, I don't think it's going to be that bad. I do think it's stupid what they're doing, especially how there's no mandate on the refrigerant. Like one manufacturer all their new equipment can have R32. The other one can be R454B. We're going to have fucking tractor trailers behind us pulling refrigerant because, we're going to have 497 of them. But yeah, like you said, we have to do what the government says. There's not a damn thing we can do about it. So I was just curious your guys' opinion. Go ahead, Dennis.
I just want to, as an overall, not just with the refrigerant, but everything. If you don't like change, you're probably not in the right trade. Because we are changing every day, all the time. The technology is going crazy. I mean, everything, freak drives now, ECM motors, everything that comes down the pike. And like you said, this has already been done in Europe. Well, if they can do it over there, I guarantee I can learn it and do it here. So I don't want to do that. Like you said, get out ahead of it, start learning, and if you don't like to learn, I mean, here's the way I say it. You're either going to learn or go home. It's your choice because, and like you said, it can be dangerous. I dealt with a lot of 460 volt machines and freak drives that may handle 3 compressors in a 400-ton machine. There's enough voltage in there that we didn't used to see before freak drives came along. And you got to learn to work with it. You got to learn to deal with it. You got to take the precautions that you got to. So the overall trade here is learn or go home. And if you're not willing to learn, you're probably in the wrong trade, man. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but it gets to a place to where it's unsafe. It gets to a place to where you're not on the cutting edge, and if you can go through and do the same thing every day, good. I don't think any three of us sitting here could do the same thing every day. Am I right?
No,
I'd go nuts. I can tell Gil ain't going to sit around and do that, and I know Brian well enough to know if he's not learning, he's not going to be there.
No,
I'm 57. My mom still tells me, Dennis, if you're not learning, then you're not going to be happy. Okay, Mom.
I still learn.
There you go. Awesome.
AC Service Tech, Craig's book, which is an awesome resource. I'm always trying to learn. This trade, we have to evolve. Like we joke about beer can cold. I remember when I first started with my dad, you put the vacuum pump on for 30, 45 minutes and then you'd rock and roll, but you realize, hey, we got to have a vacuum gauge. We need to braze with
Yeah.
nitrogen. You learn, you evolve as you go. You have to evolve with the trade. Not this is how we used to do it. Yeah, that's how you used to do it. It's not how we do it now. Honestly, I think as an industry, we should be further ahead than we are, honestly. But I feel like people like, in my mind, like you can never stop learning in this industry, and there's no such thing as staying the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. Even if you know this and you stop using it, you're not getting better. You got to refresh that in your mind. And I love, like, to quote Mr. Jim Bergman, what he said one time is, you don't really know something till you have to teach it to somebody else. And I say it all the time. And that's what I love, because I was a good technician. Like, I'm not the greatest, but I was mechanically inclined that I'll figure it out. Like you said, the refrigeration cycle is a refrigeration cycle, no matter where you put it. I'll figure out, I can read schematics, etc. I forgot where the fuck I was going with that. You know what I mean? But you figure it out and you're able to do it. I feel like too many people, like, they learn just enough to be dangerous and then they stop. Like, you got to have that little initiative to keep going. And it's amazing, like what you can do with that.
And
I'll tell you, the new regulations, the new regulations are going to stop Joe Shit the Ragman from working on our stuff.
one way or the other.
Yeah, I got into the trade and they told me I could go do whatever I want after I learned this trade. I've been doing this trade for 42 years. I ain't learned it all yet. So here I am, once again, talked into doing something, right? But it's what we do. Like I say, this trade is great, and I'm still learning. I'm the director. I learned from Dennis. I learned from Steve's. I learned from Dan. I learned from, we got however many Dans. So, Dan's and Steve's and Jason's, and I learn every day from these guys, because I got out of the trade working on large equipment. I got into the trade working on small equipment. The small equipment, when I got into the trade, that small equipment is not made anymore. Nobody wants a 5% furnace.
Yeah, no.
So now 95% furnaces were just coming in as I'm on my way out. And, these guys that are calling us for tech support, man, I've learned a lot from these guys, because I have to help them figure out why that 95% furnace ain't working. This trade never stops changing. You talk about not being where we should be in this trade. That's one of the reasons Bluon is here, is to bring the HVAC trade a little closer to 2000. Get it out of the 90s, man.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, Gil. A big part of Bluon is Peter couldn't believe that there wasn't a place where you could go and find the information that you now have at your fingertips from the Bluon app. I don't think I would have ever thought you could do what Bluon has accomplished in bringing together brand agnostic, all the different manufacturers, all the different units at your fingertips. I mean, would you have thought that 5-10 years ago? Nobody. I mean,
No.
we've had I was around when certain manufacturers, I won't call any names, but they were going to put everything on a disc and send it to you as a dealer, and you'd have all their parts. That never went anywhere. And yet Bluon has taken and they've compiled 300,000 units at your fingertips. And with all the manuals, everything that's in there. I had a guy call me the other day, and so we went through and we got everything done. And I said, hey, man, you know that unit's in the app. He's like, really? Yeah. And so a big part of what we're doing in tech support is teaching the guys, hey, look in your app first, because you can probably find it right there. And by the way, when you call me, first place I'm going is the app, because that's the biggest resource. And my point in all that is, as you said, the trade is evolving so rapidly. And that's a big part of what Bluon's doing. And I think that tech support here, one of the reasons that I think we're as popular as we are is because this problem of untrained technicians has been coming for a long, long time. Anybody that's been in the trade for a while understands this has been coming for a long, long time. I used to work large company, I won't say, but anyway, their thing was, well, we can't do apprenticeship. And like Brian said, those days are gone. I'd say you can't afford not to do it, but hey, I now have the best job I've ever had in my life because you guys wouldn't go through and train your people. So now when these guys come out in the field, I get to train them over the phone. I get to walk them through. I get to provide tools and calculators, so forth, so on. And so it's fantastic. And so my point in all that is, as we're talking about the evolution of the trade, I see Bluon, and I am so blessed to be a part of this organization that is evolving and is a part of that evolution. Because where we're going, what we're doing, how we're doing it is a part of that evolution, just like you said. So on the technical side, and then on the tech support side, I feel like that we're a big part of the evolution and filling the gap of untrained technicians out there. They can call a guy like myself or Dan or some of these other guys, and we're there and we're ready to go, and we're going to tell them the truth. And if I can't get the answer, like I said, I ain't got nothing to prove here. I'm not in a measuring contest. I'll call somebody else. If need be, I'll call big Papa there, and I'll say, what am I missing? And we can get on with it. And nobody looks down on that. I mean, we are, that's what I was saying earlier. You get all of us, you get the team. And so I'm just, wow, I can't say enough about how awesome it is, but I think that's the evolution. May I say, this is the evolution of tech support is what we've done. How about our video? I love it when he's sitting there and he grows the beard and he's still waiting on tech support.
Yeah.
This is the evolution of tech support in our trade is what we're doing here at Bluon. And by the way, you're talking about learning and trade. If we get a slack time and we're not on tech support, almost every guy we've got here, I'll say every guy we've got here is reaching out and learning. We're researching, we're going after, we're finding out ways, things that you got to do with the new technology. One of the things that I've had to come up and learn, because I came from chillers and large commercial, is communicating systems and mini splits. If it's less than 5 tons, replace it, for crying out loud. But anyway, I've had to learn the communications back and forth. So I study a lot of that so that I can be better at my job and so that I can help some guy that calls in and maybe hasn't heard it. So, as Brian says, it may sound corny, but this is the evolution of tech support. What you see going on at Bluon, this is the evolution of tech support. We're real proud to be a part of it.
And it's amazing. And what you guys are giving to the industry is it's unheard of. It's amazing the fact that it is for any brand. It's not like, oh, it's Saturday. I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith. I got to come back on Monday when I can get in touch with tech support. It's got to be between 9 and 5. It can't be between 12 and 1 because the guy shits and eats a sandwich. Like it's just, and sometimes, let's be honest. Like, I mean, my dad used to always say, like, did you read the installation manual? No. He's like, well, read it and call back. Maybe a lot of times the answer to your questions are in the manuals. Like guys that, they can't read wiring diagrams. Like, teach that to yourself. Learn to read that stuff. I love tech support. The only thing, my advice to people, and who am I? I'm a fucking podcaster, is use you guys as the resource you are to help you in a pinch, but don't let you do their job for them. That's my only thing when I see people is learn. We all, like, sometimes, like you were saying earlier, Dennis, you get into a situation and you need a second set of eyes. Or like, I can't tell you how many times my techs or our techs will call me and I don't even say anything. It's them talking to me and they're like, yeah, I was looking at this. And then they figure it out just by me being on the phone with them.
Right.
So we all need that. And I think that's amazing, but people need to take that extra step. Like when our guys come in and I do technical stuff, which we do all the time, technical communication, everything like refrigeration cycle. I don't want you to know it. I want you to know it. I want you to know that refrigerant, no matter where it is in a system, what it's supposed to be doing and what it's not doing. And I make them explain it to me to a T. And when they say, Gil, I know this. Okay. I bring in one of the CSRs, teach it to her. And when you get done, I don't expect her to know it like you, but I want her to understand what you're saying. And they go, huh? I'm like, so do you know it? And they're like, let's go over it again. I'm like, that's what I thought. I'm like, you need to really know it, because when you learn the foundation of this industry, like the industry, like, electricity, how that kind of stuff works, the refrigeration cycle, all the components, that's half the battle. You know what I mean? If you know that stuff, I mean, I don't want to take away from what we do, but it's a lot of, especially in residential, it's not crazy. It's not rocket science. When you as long as you learn what you're doing, you take the time and put in the work, you can be really fucking good at this, and it doesn't have to take that long.
And you can make a
that's
good
true.
living. And, you know, that's kind of what Brian was talking about earlier. You got the 4 basic components. And if you've got that and you understand what it does, you know, like he said, he's not afraid and he ain't afraid of anything. But to make your point, that's what Brian was talking about. And so, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I probably shouldn't say this, but hung up on a call and my girlfriend was coming in from work and I was like, will you come over here a minute, please? And I had a schematic pulled up on the screen. I said, now, if I tell you, and I didn't point, I just wanted to make sure I was explaining it right, because the person on the other end of the line was bound and determined not to learn anything. I was convinced by the time I hung up with him. And so I walked her through, as you said. I said, so if I tell you to go from here to here to here, can you? And she was like, yes. Okay. So I just need to make sure, because like you said, you have certain ones in our trade that are just not going to, and I guess every trade, they're not going to learn. I mean, man, I don't want to be mean.
Mindset. Nah, it's a mindset.
There you go. You probably don't belong in this trade, and you may get hurt. So if you don't want to learn, if you don't want to evolve, go home, because we don't want you to get hurt. There's no animosity toward you, but quit screwing up my trade. I want to do a good job. I want to have a good reputation as a trade, as an industry, and I want to know that my customers, consumers, whoever they are, whether a corporation on a 2,000-ton chiller or whether a 2.5-ton split, I want them to know they can trust us. And that's what we kind of drive toward. And we get that opportunity. Again, I get the opportunity to teach guys and show guys. And a lot of times I'll say, man, you need to be able to sleep at night. And if you can look at that customer in the eye and not tell them the truth, yeah, I mean, I don't want to be mean, but we're not on the same page. And I don't really like you being in my trade. I won't say that out loud, but I'm thinking it really loud, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'll let you go here in a second, but it's, in this industry, it's not the same industry from the 70s. Like, you can make a good living. I mean, a good living. I got guys that work for me that are 25, 26-year-old kids that make $150,000 a year being honest techs, because they won't work for us if they're not. You know, like, the younger generation needs to know, like, this is a legit living. All the stuff that just happened, we just made it through COVID, and how important we are. We were essential. We were out there. We were working. You know, like, I joke with some of these parents, like, I support the trades. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, would you let your son or daughter do it? Well, do you really support the trades then? You know what I mean? Like, don't talk out both sides of your mouth kind of deal. Like, we're important with what we do, and they can never, ever forget that. I mean, like a lawyer, a doctor, that, guess what? That doctor's not going to do surgery if that ventilation, air conditioning system's not working.
Right.
You know, if that AC is not working in that courtroom, guess what? Shit's adjourned. We ain't doing it today. You know what I mean? So what we do is really, really important. And I want people to realize that it doesn't have to be a, you know, Monday to Friday, get a paycheck kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like, take pride in what you do and think about it. I'm proud of what I do. All my friends know me as the HVAC guy. They call me with questions. And well, now they're like, oh, let's get a podcast. I'm like, shut up. You know what I mean? But, you know, I'm proud of what I do. So it's, yeah. What did somebody say? Where does Uncensored live? Oh, I'm right outside of Baltimore, Maryland.
We're flying you out here, Gil.
Let's rock and roll. I'm down. Yeah, let's do it.
Dennis was talking about the evolution of tech support. We can't stress it enough. Our app's not done. We got 300,000 pieces of equipment in there, 4 million parts, but we're not done. We're talking about the 35 tech support people that are answering the phone. We didn't talk about how many people make up the team that are putting in new equipment every single solitary day. This app is continuing to grow. It's not going to stop. So you get in there and you say, well, it doesn't have this machine in it. Okay, it doesn't have that machine in it today. Call myself, call Dennis, tell us, hey, this machine's not in your app. The next time the app updates, because these guys are like Dennis and I live and breathe 24/7 doing tech support. We have a team that is putting this equipment into the app 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are committed to help the technicians.
Well, and not to interrupt you, but to be honest, if you guys were just the manuals and stuff you have now in tech support, that would be enough. That in itself No, I'm just saying, like, that would be enough. That's better than any other app that's out there. So the fact that you guys have even more and it's constantly evolving, it's a fucking game changer. You know what I mean? So it's like, I say this, like, because the fact that I'm uncensored and some companies that come on, that I let them come on, they don't come back because I'm honest with their product when they say dumb things. But sometimes companies, I feel like they come out with something like that's new, but they're kind of that one-hit wonder. They have in their mind, they're never ever going to try to make it better. They're never gonna change it. This is new. Nobody does it. We're gonna stick to that. That's it. And eventually, exactly, it gets old. But when you meet a company like you guys or some of the other companies I partner with, where it's like, we have this, it's awesome right now, but we haven't even scratched the surface of where we're trying to take it. Like, that's amazing. And somebody that I want to be a part of or want to be associated with, not even like a podcast partnership. I mean, even as a technician in the field, the app on my phone, you know what I mean? I want to be a part of that. So
yeah, to coin a comedian that I heard, you can take the tram to the top of the hill or you can take the burro. It is the same price. Which one are you doing, bro?
Yeah. Right. I'm taking the burro. I want the scenery.
Yeah, but you want to be on the first burro. That's
yeah, right. Otherwise, it's just shit, and more shit.
To make Brian's point and to tell you kind of what goes on in the background a little bit, we have amazing people there that do computer stuff because I'm kind of illiterate, but they set up so that an old guy like me, whenever we do hit on something that is not in the app, they have very click, just kind of like our app is for the techs in the field. They have to set up click for me so that I can send them a manual and say, hey, this is not in the app. And then like Brian says, we've got a whole team of people. And before they stick it in there, they're researching to make sure it doesn't come up under some other file name or some other description or whatever. They do all that research and then they're putting that in there. And my point is simply this: it's not just we're not just blabbing about it. We have tools and procedures in place for us to make that happen. Because when I'm doing tech support and it's hot as this is right now, calls are coming in, and I don't have time to go research this, that's that, the other. Listen, so we have an amazing group. I don't know what you call them. They're not database and they're not member experience. Brian, I'm talking about Tanner and Caitlin and all them. They make it so that all I got to do is just, when I close that ticket, just boom, here's something that's not in there. Can you guys check on it? We put it in a bucket. An amazing group of people that understand more about computers than I ever will, and they go through and they research it. My point being, there's procedures in place for us to get it in there, to constantly keep it evolving, to constantly keep updating. And so when we get a new piece of equipment that comes out and we happen to find it before they do, we send it over there to them. We're not just, we're not bullshitting. It's on. It's every single day. We're working to not only do tech support, but to improve the app as you see it today. And it won't be the same tomorrow. And by this time next year, it'll be completely different in that it'll just be improved. Like you said, we're constantly improving. And like you said, man, just to be a part of this is freaking awesome.
Yeah, and the fact that you're all real techs with real experiences. I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good.
But like it says it in your video when you joke around, like some of these places you call, and I won't say the name of the company, but we called one not long ago, and it's some lady, very nice, but she has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. She is reading a flow chart and she's like, did you check L1 to L2? I'm like, are you fucking serious? And she was like, excuse me? I was like, can I talk to your boss or somebody? Like, we're way past checking L1, L2 shit. Like, what? And she was like, you can see that she's like clickety click, scrolling through pages. And I'm like, yeah, no, I have an error code. It was on a VAV system. And she's like, hold on, I gotta take you to stage 2. I'm like, yeah, take me somewhere because it's not L1, L2. We're way past that, so the fact that you guys are real people that know what you're doing, and I'm not faulting her. She's doing her job, what she was taught to do. Right. But let's be honest, that's what tech support is for some companies. or it's some Indian guy who's trying to steal my social security number at the same time give me tech support, ask me about my car's extended warranty at the same time. So
Well, you don't want that to expire, Gil.
yeah, exactly. Even for a car you don't fucking have, don't let it expire. Apparently, I have a Corvette somewhere, and they keep trying to sell me extended warranty. I'm like, when you find my Corvette, I'll buy the warranty. Okay. But yeah, all that kind of stuff, like that person and the fact, and that's what I think's amazing too with you guys coming on here, whether it's the same or different people come on, putting that face to a name. So when they call, because I used to love that, like years ago when I was a carrier dealer, and I'm still friends with all those guys now, even though that I'm not. When I'd see them, it just built that relationship. So even if they don't see you in person, they don't get to go to an AHR or some kind of convention, but they see you on a show like this, and they're like, and you're like, oh, hey, this is Brian, this is Dennis. And they're like, oh man, I saw you on HVAC Uncensored. Automatically, they picture a face in their head, and there's a connection there without ever actually meeting you in person. Like those little things go a long way.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Again, the evolution, like you were saying, the evolution is just as things evolve. 10 years ago, we podcast, what the hell's that? But now, like you said, we're evolving. The trade, the industry, everything is evolving. And so, yeah, just evolution. Get on board or get left. I mean, that's where it's going.
And keep wanting to get better. Anything I've ever done, I don't like to lose, and I've always wanted to be the best. There's no such thing as being the best at HVAC, but I wanted to make sure that. So people who listen to me know the story. When I first left my dad, I thought I was, king shit on Turd Island, didn't know anything, and I would call my dad every call I would go on, and finally my dad was like, "Are you going to give me half your paycheck at the end of the week?" And I was like, what? What are you talking about, Dad? And he was like, son, you're never going to learn. He was like, so from now on, you can stop by after work. You can call me after work. But when you're at work, don't call me anymore. Click. And I was like, motherfucker, are you kidding me? Like, what? It's the best thing he ever did because I stuck my nose in the books, classes, online, YouTube. And I was like, I'm not going to get to a call anymore and not know something. I refuse to not know. So I made sure that I learned things. I would test myself. I showed people not long ago the books I have back here where I used to highlight stuff. And if you have that kind of oomph, like it's amazing, like what you can do and try to learn. And I just wish people don't half-ass this. You know what I mean? There's too many of us, or not us, because I'm not going to include myself in that, but there's too many guys out there. They're good people. They're good girls. Don't half-ass this. It's really amazing what you can do when you put a little effort, where you can take this career.
Again, I don't want to get corny, but I believe this. You had the pledge at the beginning. That is the American dream. That is the American opportunity. And nowhere does it exist better, in my opinion, than in the HVAC trade. If you're willing to get out here and bust your tail and work and learn and throw yourself into this, you can make a hell of a living and not have school debt. I mean, you can work hard, but it's going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of times. I come from the generation, and Brian, I'm sure, did the same thing. I had an extra set of clothes, an extra set of boots, because I might get wet with chill water or condenser water or whatever. And you just, you went into the restroom of the plant where you're at, and you changed, you kept rocking and rolling. You didn't stop. You didn't slow down, and I've been called out in chiller plants before where I got there on Wednesday morning and I slept on the floor and got the refrigerant out of a couple of machines. And I finally went home Friday at noon. You know what? That's what it took to get to where I'm at. And I am so very thankful. But to make your point, the opportunity is here in the HVAC industry. If you're willing to continue to learn, continue to put forth the effort, Bluon is here to support you guys, to help you. Again, I don't want to be too corny, but that to me is the American dream. I live in a nicer home than I ever grew up in, not because my dad didn't work hard. I mean, my dad was the hardest working man I've ever known in my life, but the opportunities have been here, and I've been able to get to where I'm at by hard work and being blessed. And those opportunities, like you said, they're here, but don't get out here and just think you're going to coast, because we are changing so rapidly in every facet of our industry. You've either, I could say, learn or go home, because you're not going to stay in the trade, and you may very well get hurt if you're not willing to learn. So, but the opportunities exist. Let me make that point. This is the American dream. As far as I'm concerned, I'm living the American dream. I've worked real hard to get to where I'm at. As Brian says, the trade has been really, really good to me. And those opportunities still exist in our country today. You just got to get out there and get after it and get it. Because I promise you it's there. And I'm real damn proud to be an American and real proud to be a part of Bluon and the fact that it's here, come and get it if you want it. But understand, you're going to have to work. We don't give anything for free.
Yeah,
So,
no.
I don't want to get on the soapbox, but that's.
But it's good.
I
It's
get a
good
little
for
tired of the bullshit you're talking about in our country today. It's here. Come get it if you want it. But don't sit back on your butt and think I'm going to give it to you. No, that's just come get it though. It's here. Come on.
Yeah, and there's so many different avenues. I mean, we do like installer versus service tech, which is bullshit, or commercial versus residential. Like they're all different avenues. Like I like all of them, and sometimes your skill sets fit different. Like I loved industrial commercial. I loved taking compressors apart and rebuilding the rack systems at some of these stores. On call sucked because when they call 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll see you in an hour, not 8 a.m. You better get your ass there, But I love doing that. But a lot of times I was by myself, or I liked with people. I do a podcast. I got a big fucking mouth. I like to talk to people. So I think that's why I thrived in residential. But I got a friend who I went to school with that he did HVAC. Now he works on dialysis machines. I don't know the details, but apparently like the pressure and stuff is kind of similar. Like there's so many avenues and different ways to go that it's wide open. You can do, and there's no right or wrong. One's not better than the other. They're all needed. And as far as you said, this is why I do the podcast, to give back to an industry. My dad did this. I've been able to have success. My wife and my kids don't want for anything. I want to give back and want people to know that that's possible, but nobody's going to knock on your fucking door and say, here's this. You know what I mean?
No.
Somebody made a comment that says, I guess I need to get my state license to be able to rake in that kind of money. That license doesn't mean shit. Should you have it? Yes, I'll be honest. Some of the best technicians I've ever met don't hold one piece of paper at all, but they'll fix anything they put in front of them. It's your mindset, like we talked about earlier, and your work ethic, You start doing what other people, I say at the end of every show, do what the next guy's not doing. It's that fucking simple. You do what the next guy's not doing, you'll stand out, you'll make a difference, and people will notice, Yeah,
to your point, Gil, I've never had a contractor's license. I've always worked for somebody. And I understand the struggle. But again, like Dennis said, I've got a pretty damn good house. Made a pretty damn good living at this. And on a personal note, is some people saw me shoving nicotine pouch in my mouth. Good for you, Gil, for putting the cigarettes down, brother.
Well, I'm not even gonna lie. This is inside. I still smoke. So somebody asked what's in this. I don't know. Some grape watermelon bullshit with a menthol kick. I'm trying to stop smoking. So I was out last week. It was funny. I was actually talking to Jessica from Bluon. My mom, who has smoked for 50 something years. My dad's no longer here. Agent Orange, Vietnam stuff. But anyway, my mom, lung cancer. They had to remove the top lobe of her lung last week. She's good and stuff like that, but it kind of makes you start to check your own mortality. Yeah, couldn't say it right. Like I have 4 kids. I want to be able to walk my daughters down the aisle. Like, I gotta take care of that because it definitely scares me. So this helps. I have slowed down smoking, but I haven't quit. But I need to.
Well, I'll share I know this is, totally derail right here.
We're good.
But I went from smoking a pack and a half a day to these nicotine pouches. And it's like my tobacco guy says, we've got these pins. They're like, 1,200 puffs. And it's like, no, I need to totally change. I was going to go to chewing tobacco. And he just handed me these pouches. He actually gave me a tin for free and said, here. So Gil, go to your tobacco guy and ask him for a nicotine replacement pouch and see if it doesn't help you. Because it was like that for me. I put the pouch in and never wanted another cigarette.
Is that the street pharmacist or the real pharmacist?
No, your tobacco guy.
Okay.
Your
Sorry.
Your tobacco guy. not the weed guy, not the green plus.
I'm not. I don't think that's what he was talking about. That's not what Brian said on the podcast, buddy. Put that back. Throw it away. I wasn't supposed to shove it in my ass. That's not it.
And you don't need him to help you. If he's helping you shove it anywhere,
yeah. Or if the cops are worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, a brief story so everybody knows I've been honest. So 15 years ago, I was an addict. I got hooked on pain pills. Never thought that would ever happen to me. And me and my wife both, and led me down to be a fucking idiot for a long time. Once I got clean, that's when I realized, hey, I have no time to waste. I got to get better at this, blah, blah, blah. But I always shared that story. So even when you say about smoking, like somebody in the industry is going through that smoking and they need that incentive to quit. So that's why I shared my addiction story, because there's so many. I do some podcasts that are just addiction because I know it's big in the trades. It's prevalent. People feel they're alone. They're never going to get out of it. They're trapped in this vicious cycle. And sometimes it's HVAC, but we're also a brotherhood, a family, a sisterhood too, of just experiences. And sometimes sharing those is huge. And I can't tell you how many people have messaged me like, Gil, by you doing those addiction podcasts made me realize like I can beat this and I can do this. And the podcast actually does a sponsorship where I'll send somebody to rehab, as long as I know that they're serious. And yeah, like that's all those little stories are amazing. And people are like, I can't believe you shared that. Like, yeah, am I proud of it? No. But if by me sharing that story helps one person, it was fucking worth it in my eyes. You know, so.
You know,
Yeah,
Gil,
good for
you've
you.
hit on so many things right here that I think are awesome. You had that person text in and say, I guess I need to get that piece of paper to rake in those kind of bucks. No, you just got to go work hard. That's all. That's all we're saying. If you work hard and you apply yourself, then I promise you there's a place in this trade and somebody's going to notice and you're going to be able to make like you did. And, you know, to hear you say that you came out of addiction like that and you've worked hard. Here's another example of the opportunities that exist all around you. I'm stoked on HVAC. Like Brian says, it's been so good to me. This trade has been so good to me. You know, it's been good to all three of us. And, you know, to hear you say that, you're making the point again. And I just want to say to all those guys out there, guys and girls, you know, and there's so many, as you said earlier, there's so many different avenues that you can go. Once you get into HVAC, you can go into controls, you can go into automation, you can go into boilers, you can go into, you know how many pumps. I can rebuild a centrifugal pump blindfolded. I've just done so much of it. And that's a part of the trade. You know, you can go into, we got one guy that worked for a cooling tower manufacturer. To make your point, if you get out there and work and you apply yourself, it will open up so many doors and you choose the direction you want to go. But the point is, work at it. Gil didn't get off of pain pills. I can't even imagine what you went through. That's so freaking awesome, man. I mean, wow, that's freaking awesome. And to be where you are today, that's what the opportunity exists out there. Don't, how'd you put it all to go? Gil, don't get caught up in the bullshit.
Yeah.
Go get what you want. Make what you want out of your life. And HVAC is a great place to start. And it's a great place that offers so much opportunity. And the country we live in offers so much opportunity. Go out there and get it. And remember, again, I don't want to be too corny, but Bluon has your back. We're here to help you along the way, man. We're here.
Yeah.
But you're right. And you can do this job anywhere in the country.
That's right.
Anywhere all over. Everybody needs us. So it's not like, you know, oh, like I've got people like that work in a friend of mine makes buco bucks working in the oil fields, lives in Texas. He could probably live in like Louisiana, some of those places. But if he moves to Michigan, not working in too many oil fields, you know what I mean? So he's got to stay in a certain region. You can do this anywhere. And no matter what happens with technology, you know, we're sending all of our kids to school, you know, getting these bullshit philosophy degrees. Well, guess what? When my car breaks, I call a mechanic. When my HVAC breaks, I call a mechanic. When my toilet stop works, and I call a plumber. I don't need to call a philosopher to philosophize about it. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, it's I want people to really realize how valuable this industry is and stuff like that. And I didn't mean to get off topic because really this podcast is about how fucking awesome Bluon is. And if people haven't realized that and the amount of the hour or so that we've been covering this, I hope that this helps because you guys are an amazing resource. I thank you so much for what you do for the industry because it's something that seems so small, but to guys like me that have been in the trade and been out there in the trenches sweating, how valuable this is. That's why I said earlier that even if it was just the manuals and the tech support, that would be enough for me. You know, the fact that new things are coming and it does so much more stuff, it's amazing. And the fact that it is free. It doesn't cost you anything. You know what I mean? Like, I think too many people are too scared to invest in themselves. Guys, this is like, you know, boop, 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 boop. I mean, it's a few clicks of a button. And then when people are like, you know, like I have a giveaway going with you guys. You may not even know now. I'm giving away some Yellow Jacket. Like one of my other partnerships is Yellow Jacket. And I have like manometers, gauges, vacuum pumps, all kind of stuff that we're giving away. But you have to be a Bluon Pro member. And I was talking to some people and I'm like, they're like, well, I'm a Bluon member. I'm like, well, be a Bluon Pro member. They're like, why? I was like, why not? Like it's free. Like, you know, you get more stuff to be a Bluon Pro member. It's just a few more clicks of the button. So there's no excuse as far as to be a Bluon Pro and to be able to use this. So thank you for what you guys do.
No, thank you, Gil. And on that point, guys asking why become a pro member. I'm already a Bluon member. The Bluon Pro, you're absolutely right, spot on, 100% free or 100% free.
Yeah,
it is. But the difference between a Bluon member and a Bluon Pro member is when you get to utilize the tool that we have created where you can click and order to your supplier. That's the Bluon Pro part. You became a pro. It makes your life easier. So why do you have to fill it out? Because my crystal ball is broken and I don't know what your favorite supplier is. So if you don't fill out the information on becoming a Bluon Pro,
I don't want to give my information. People are going to try to steal it. They're going to listen to my phone calls. Nobody gives a shit about what you're doing. Just
we don't keep your passwords. If you forget your password, you actually have to call back into the member experience team and they will send you a temporary code because we don't have it. We don't give a shit what it is. It's yours. You own it. The app is yours to use. Period. It's free. It's here to help you. So take the extra 5 minutes. If you're slow, it's going to take 10 minutes. If you're Dennis, it's going to take a half hour because it's Dennis. But take the extra,
you get free hats.
Take the extra time. And yes, you're going to get your hat 7 to 10 days from the time you put in your address when you update your information. Make sure that we have your home address so that they can pull that information, put a stamp on a box, and get that thing out.
And the Pro hat's better. I like the Pro hat's better.
They're all, you know, I wish, nah, I don't either. I like the fact that our bucket hats are special giveaways during special events, and it just keeps the excitement going.
And guys, I have a bunch of these that I'm going to be giving away that I may or may not have water, soda, liquor in mine, but it keeps it very, very cold. So I'm going to give these away, and I'll let you guys know at the end of the show. I have quite a few to give away.
And the guys that are familiar seeing me on the Mike and Brian Buckle Up, yes, I'm still drinking my Diet Pepsi.
Oh, I thought you had like a Busch Light or something in there.
I have to drive home, and you talk about some of the issues in our trade, and drinking and driving is one of the issues in our trade, and I will not promote drinking and driving. So it is always and will always be Diet Pepsi until I get home. And once I get home, that's a totally different story, but I'm home.
That's awesome. Touche, because I agree. I don't mess with drinking and driving. And to be honest, I'm not even a big drinker. So I do this every once in a while. It's rare. Sometimes on a show or something like that, I'll do it. But other than that, if I go to like a football game, a baseball game, I'll have a beer or something like that. But I agree. Don't drink and drive. That's crazy. I know there was a story.
We're HVAC mechanics, man. This is what we do. We work our ass off so that we can play our ass off. It's that simple. So I refer to a lot of the guys in our trade as animals because they will work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and then they take that 2-week vacation and all they do is abuse themselves. They're doing 100 miles an hour and drinking like a fish.
Hey,
to be able to come back home and do it.
That was me for a long time, going out and staying to the bar, doing God knows what until, 5 o'clock and then going to the office at, 7:30. And the boss is like, what fucking train ran over you? Like, what? Where's my first call? But yeah, I mean, it's funny now looking back, but you put yourself through hell, but this is a great industry. And I know we're like way over an hour, so I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I thank you guys so much for coming on. I really do. If there's anything that, you guys want to chime in before we close this out, by all means, the floor is yours.
One of the things I wanted to say, and we've talked about coming to Bluon Pro and so forth. We've been out here supporting you. Like Brian's been 4 years out here answering the phone, working his tail off. And now there's 35 of us that are supporting you guys. And so to take the next step, which is coming in very, very shortly here, all the technicians have an opportunity to support us. And that's how this whole thing works. We continue to go forward. Gosh, dare I say it, Brian? There's a video on our Bluon YouTube channel that talks about, how do we make money and so forth. I hope I didn't mess up there, Gil, by mentioning that. But anyway, there's a video on there. It's not a mystery. We're not out here. I've heard people say, well, we're trying to direct you to a certain supply house. There's none of that bullshit. We're out here helping you. And our boss, Peter, believes in what we're doing. And you have the opportunity to support us. And we can keep this thing going forever if we all work together. And that's what it's about. And then finally, I just want to say to you guys out there, I've heard it said, you need to discipline yourself when it comes to the drinking and driving. Because if you can't drive, that's a big part of what you can't do in our trade. That's a part of that working hard to get to where you are. And you either have the regret of discipline or the regret of, I messed it up. Anyway, you have the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Don't drink and drive. Don't screw your life up that way and do that. And you're looking at two guys on either side of me in this podcast here who are veterans who have been around the block, and they're both incredibly successful. I look up to both of them immensely, but and I know about Brian. But I spent a little time with him. So drinking's not the issue. It's the drinking and driving that's the issue. So, but anyway, just want to, again, just encourage you, man. If you want a good trade, here's the other thing I wanted to say, Gil, and I'll shut up, I promise. But I was reminded by a local ROTC guy that worked in the high schools here, and he was talking about the trades. Listen, don't think that everything is so dangerous out here and you're forced to do things that are just stupid, ridiculous, dangerous anymore. We don't work that way anymore in the trades. The trades they're good, solid ways to make a great living, to make a great career, and never get hurt if you just follow the safety rules that we've got in place and the safety things we've got in place. It's not like that old factory, where you see the pictures and, people getting hurt all the time. They sling them off the side and keep going. That's not the trades anymore. The trades are fairly safe. You're probably in more danger driving down the road than you are if you follow procedures than you are working in our trade. So to those people like you were talking about, Gil, that don't want to support the trades by encouraging their children to get into it. I mean, I support young guys all the time, young ladies all the time. If you want to get into this trade, this is a great way to make a living, not have a school debt, and you can make a great career. This is a great place to be and so many opportunities. So again, I apologize. I'll shut up, but I'm stoked to be here. Stoked to be a part of this podcast. Thank you so much for having us on. Yeah, we're Bluon. I bleed blue, and we're damn proud of it. So.
That's awesome. And guys, how you can help them, like they said, is become a Bluon Pro member. You go on there and let me get that straight on camera. You go on there and you're gonna call your supply house anyway, rather than bothering them in the middle of the busy season. do it through the Bluon app. If you're already there, you already got a manual, you already talked to Dennis or Brian and got help, you know exactly what part is bad, that blower motor or whatever the hell it is. Place the order through the app. Go pick it up at the same supply house that you always get it from, whatever that local supply house is. It's no different. You're getting the same price. Nothing changes on the same account, the same people. You're going to go talk to the same guy that you pick it up from. Nothing changes. That's how you can give back to Bluon, by that one simple thing. And to be honest, it takes more time to click out of the app, go into your phone book and call the supply house and waste their time, sit on hold, than it would be just go boop, 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 place the order, start heading that way, rock and roll, you're good to go. It's that simple.
And Gil, you're spot on. And we have this thing called 24/7 tech support. If they need help figuring out how to be a Bluon Pro or how to order parts through the app, they can call the tech support line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you know what we'll do? We'll walk them through how to do it.
Exactly.
Because it's their supply house that is going to end up giving us some coin back for every purchase through the app. So it's still free for the technicians forever. That's our goal.
That's awesome.
Forever.
You can call them 365. You call me 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to tell you to grab a mallet and smack yourself in the nuts with it. Okay. Don't call the Titan text line that late. We're going to have a problem.
Gil, thank you very much for having us on here. I told you this was going to be a hell of a show and you pulled it off, brother. Peace. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you. We'll roll this back. Sorry for keeping you way longer than we were supposed to be, but I'll go ahead and start closing this thing out real fast. Guys, thank you for staying on here for 2 hours. An amazing conversation with these gentlemen, you know, with Brian and Dennis. Thank you to what they do. Thank you to what Bluon does for the industry. We're all looking for help. We're all looking for resources. Well, when you have apps like this and don't use it, what the fuck are you doing? Download it. Use that resource. Take advantage of it, okay? Even if you're a technician, talk to your boss. At least use everything you can use and then talk to your boss. I mean, he can link the account. There's no information that he needs to know. You can still order all your parts. Your office can order from them. It's going to make it easier. It's just like you going on the company's website and ordering it online, all right? Thank you guys for being here, man. I appreciate you. No live show tomorrow night. I will have a live show Friday night with Mr. Jeff Daydem, HVAC, Instagram sensation, who is one of the best goddamn installers out there to date, and he proves it. He puts pictures and videos of his work, and his installs are freaking flawless. I cannot wait to talk to Jeff this Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come right back here and check that out. Go download the Bluon app. I want you to do it right now. I'll wait. Hurry up. Hurry up. Download the app if you haven't already done it. Remember, guys, the giveaways. I'm going to say it real fast. I don't want to go, smack on my microphone. I don't want to go too much on this, but this AC Service Tech, Craig, so he's going to give, I have one of these books, the workbook and the cards, you know, the little tips to keep you while you're working. If you go to the video podcast I did with him, and you comment book, next week I'm going to pick a random winner and we're going to give you one of those books absolutely free to help one of you guys get better in the industry. Also, the giveaway that I have with Bluon and Yellow Jacket, you have to be a Bluon Pro member and you have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel. Even on the other one, if you go back to the podcast that I did with Mr. Pete, it says HVAC Uncensored talks to Bluon. And all you have to do is write Bluon Pro in there, and I'm going to pick random winners, and I have drills, gauges, all kind of stuff. But you have to be a Bluon Pro member, because how you're going to find out you won is going to be through Bluon's app. All right? Simple things. Come win this cool free stuff. Thank you to all the people in the live chat. I appreciate all you guys for coming to watch. I really, really do. Thank you so much for taking your Tuesday night to come hang out with us. Absolutely amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Follow the podcast on all the social media sites. Find out what is up to date. Guys, remember, be safe out there. Always make it home the same way you left. We all got somebody to make it home to. Do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy. There is no excuse. We talked about it tonight. Having the Bluon app, watching YouTube videos to make yourself better, getting a book and reading it to make yourself better. Set yourself apart. Have the drive. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I did everything that I possibly could today to make myself better. And guess what? If your answer is no, it's fine. But tomorrow when you look in that fucking mirror, you better say, I knocked it out of the park today. All right? Don't make excuses. Find ways to get it done. Remember, I am always here to help. If I can ever help any of you in any way, reach out to me. You guys know all my DM me on any social media site. Email me, hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Until next week, I'll talk with you mofos later, all right? Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.